The wind did not knock first. It screamed. Snow slammed sideways against a rusted motel sign as a tall figure stepped out of the white blur, leather jacket stiff with ice, boots sinking deep into the drift. Across the frozen parking lot, a woman clutched 4 small bodies together, her breath ragged, her hope thinner than the threadbare coats wrapped around her children. That was the moment everything changed, the moment a Hell's Angel stopped, looked, and said the words that would decide whether they lived through the night. What happened after that single glance was something none of them could have imagined, and the storm was only getting worse. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of strangers doing the unthinkable, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel, Only Kindness. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Maribel Torres had stopped believing in miracles 2 winters ago, right after her husband's heart gave out on a factory floor and left her with 4 children, a pile of bills, and a silence that never went away. On this night, the blizzard felt personal, as if the sky itself had decided to press down on what little strength she had left. Her car had died miles back, the heater coughing once before surrendering completely. She had tried walking toward the motel lights she thought she saw through the storm, but the snow erased distance and direction, turning every step into a gamble. Her fingers were numb, her boots soaked, and every few seconds she had to check that the children were still standing, still awake, still breathing. Mateo, the oldest at 10, tried to be brave, his thin shoulders squared against the wind. Sophia kept whispering that she couldn't feel her toes. Little Tomas stumbled constantly, and baby Reina's cries had faded into a weak whimper hours ago. Maribel wrapped her arms around them all, knowing it wasn't enough. Hypothermia didn't announce itself loudly. It crept in, quiet and merciless. She wondered, with a guilt that burned hotter than fear, whether she had made the wrong choice leaving the car, whether staying would have been kinder than this slow freezing march. Headlights cut through the storm suddenly, white and low, followed by the growl of engines that sounded almost alive. A group of motorcycles rolled into the lot, black shapes against white chaos, their riders moving with practiced precision despite the ice. Patches were barely visible through snow-caked leather. Maribel's heart clenched. She had heard the stories everyone had. She pulled the children closer, instinctively shielding them, even as exhaustion threatened to buckle her knees. One of the riders dismounted and walked toward them without hesitation, snow crunching under heavy boots. He was massive, bearded, his face weathered like it had seen 100 storms worse than this one. His eyes, however, held something unexpected: focus, concern, and a sharp awareness that time was running out. He took in the scene in seconds: the shaking kids, the blue-tinged lips, the way Maribel swayed on her feet. The storm howled louder, as if daring him to turn away. Maribel expected questions, maybe judgment. What she got instead was a simple, steady gesture toward the glow of the bikes and the faint outline of the motel beyond. In that moment, she didn't see a biker or a stranger. She saw a door opening in a wall she had been pushing against all night. Her legs protested as she followed, fear battling with the primal need to survive. The children moved because she moved, because at that age, trust is often borrowed from a parent's last shred of hope. Inside the motel lobby, warmth hit them like a wave, painful and wonderful all at once. The children cried then, quiet sobs that came from shock more than sound. The riders filled the small space with steam and leather and urgency, clearing a path, demanding blankets, hot drinks, anything that could help. Someone wrapped Reina in a thick coat that smelled of oil and smoke. Another knelt to rub Mateo's hands, coaxing feeling back into stiff fingers. Maribel sank into a chair, her body finally allowed to acknowledge how close she had come to losing everything. But the night wasn't finished testing them. The motel clerk hesitated at first, eyes darting to the patches, to the mess, to the chaos they brought in with them. One of the bikers placed a stack of folded bills on the counter without a word, enough for rooms, food, and then some. The hesitation vanished. Keys slid across the desk. The storm raged on outside, but a fragile bubble of safety formed within those thin walls. Hours later, when the children slept under piles of blankets, cheeks flushed with returning warmth, Maribel stood by the window and watched snow bury the world that had nearly buried them. The bearded rider checked on them once more before leaving, making sure the heater worked, that there was food, that someone would come by in the morning. There were no speeches, no explanations. Just action, efficient and human. Morning came quietly, the storm finally spent. The parking lot was a sculpted field of white, the motorcycles gone, their tracks already fading. Maribel packed what little they had, her hands steady now. She didn't know where she would go next, but she knew this: someone had seen her at her weakest and chosen to help without asking for anything in return. That knowledge warmed her more than the heater ever could. Before they left, Matteo asked why those men helped them. Maribel didn't have a perfect answer. She only knew that kindness sometimes wears faces we're taught to fear, and that survival often comes from unexpected directions. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment now to like, share, and subscribe to Only Kindness. These stories matter because they remind us what people are capable of when they choose compassion over judgment.